Welcome back to Uncle Danny Cooks. Today we are going to do a meatball and marinara sauce. Um, there's so many ways you can do it. There's so many methods. Uh, so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I do it. And I'm going to explain each process, and then you can add to it, subtract from it, do it any different way you want. But I'm going to give you the basics, and then you can make the sauce the way that you want to do it after you've tried it out. Okay? Now, in front of you, you're going to see my little food processor and a green type sauce over here. This is 3 ingredients. This is fresh garlic, fresh basil, and olive oil. That's it. I use this a lot for garlic bread. I use this for sauces. So I like to make it a little bit ahead of time. I take a bunch of garlic, I take a bunch of basil and some olive oil, and I just puree it into a sauce. And you can put this in a refrigerator and it will keep for some time, a good month or so, if not more, because you have the oil in there, and that's gonna stabilize it for you. So I started out with that. Next, we're gonna go into cutting onions, like we've done that before in the past. It just comes down to you get your onions. Now for onions, I like to use sweet yellow onions. You can use red onions. You can use just regular yellow onions. You can use whatever onions, white onions, whatever onions you want. For this, you're going to cut off the 2 at the top and the bottom. Okay? You got 2 nice discs over here from the top and the bottom. That's going to go to the garbage. Now you got a whole round over here, okay? We are going to cut that in half. You pick the smallest layer that you can in terms of thickness, and you just peel, and you got a perfectly peeled onion right there, okay? The best bet is to do this as quickly as possible. As you know, onions will make you cry. The best way to handle that, if you have some particularly strong onions and you need to cut them up, what you can do is you can put the onions in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes, and then you can cut them up quickly after that. That will bring down that crying factor. And the only other way that I've seen it done is with full-on face mask with oxygen tank, and that's the only way I've seen people not cry when the onions are particularly strong. Alright, now we got our onions that we're going to use for the sauce. We got them peeled in half. And you can do it one of 2 ways. When you cut an onion and you have it like this, you can cut it lengthwise. And so what you'll do is you'll come up with 3 large the rings. It's like little rainbows there. You can do that, or you can cut it like this, which will give you a smaller piece. Okay, it's not a rainbow, and it'll be smaller pieces in the sauce. If you want to dice it, you do with the large rainbow. If you want to have some nice onion pieces that are not too large, you would do it from the side. So I like to do it from the side. For this sauce particularly, I like to have a little bit of texture with my onion. So, okay, we're going to get that all sliced up. Okay, so with any tomato-based sauce, you need tomatoes. Now, there is a couple different kinds of tomatoes that you can utilize. Okay, so for today, and it's whatever you have available is what you have available. If you can just get some diced tomatoes and tomato sauce cans, and that's all you can find, that's perfectly fine. That will be an amazing sauce still. If you can get the San Marzano style, which has their whole plum tomatoes with some basil and their own sauce, those are really good too. If you can get the tomatoes with more Italian style sauce, a Pomodoro Italian, tomatoes, and these are it's like a chunky sauce. This is really good as well. And then you might want to get a double concentrated tomato paste, give you a little extra tomato flavor. If you can find it, it's not necessary. A lot of these, if you get the regular just tomato sauce and diced tomatoes, if that's what you have in the pantry, if that's what you can find, then go with that. It'll make a great sauce. If you can get some of these other specialties, that would be great too. Anything, anything you add adds different flavors and textures. It adds to the final product. Let's talk about proteins. Now, you can make this, with today's technology and the products available out there, you can make meatballs, tomato sauce and meatballs, or, tomatoes and marinara sauce, the meatballs and marinara sauce. You can make the vegetarian. This is vegan, vegetarian. It is delicious. It comes out really well. The balls are already made for you. You just need to, saute them and then put them into the sauce. You can add sausages. If you want sausages, you can add real sausages, vegetarian sausages, and for what I'm making today, I'm going to be using both vegetarian product and meat product. I'm not making a vegetarian meal, but you can. And I have before. Doesn't really give you the vegetarian vegan style doesn't, with these products, comes out really delicious and yummy. And then ground beef. Now, for those who use pork, you can use ground pork. You can do a ground beef, ground pork mixture. I don't use pork at all in any of my cooking, so I'm going to be using ground beef. So what we're going to do is we're going to use all three. I'm going to now show you how to make meatballs. All right, so we're going to do a pound of ground beef today. Okay. So with 1 pound of ground beef, 1 pound of ground meat is 1 egg. Put it over. All right. And you start out with approximately half a cup of breadcrumb. Okay. And you'll go from there. All right. Now, that's a basic right there. If you just had that, you're good. But I got myself some really fresh garlic and basil and olive oil. So I'm going to throw that in there for just a little bit more flavor base. Okay? And on top of that, I'm going to put in a little pepper. And salt. Alright, well, I got the ingredients in there. How do I mix this up? Well, this is where you get your hands dirty. Wash your hands beforehand. Take your hand. This is one of the best cooking utensils in the kitchen. You can do 4 fingers, 5 fingers, 2 fingers. It doesn't matter. Alright, and you are just going to go in there and just start mashing, turning, mashing, squeezing through your fingers. Mash. You want to get it so it starts to become one cohesive product here. Okay, get everything integrated in there. You're going to start seeing striations. You can see the egg, you can see the meat, you can see the breadcrumbs and some of the garlic, but it's not uniform. So we want to get a little bit, we want to mix that. We want to get that more uniform. And, if you're not used to it, it can feel a little weird. It can feel a little, it is not a sensation that most people relish. But it's kind of like playing with a really wet Play-Doh. Okay, and you'll see that my method is, I'm using the back of my hand, I'm using my fingers, I'm putting it together, I'm kind of folding it on itself. Just whatever you can do. All right, you want to get it into a more uniform thing. So you look at that, and it is no more parts of egg and breadcrumb. It's all pretty much there together. Okay, you got yourself a nice little bit of meatloaf there. Okay, so now how do you make the meatballs? Okay, put this off your plate. Okay, and here's where you just take a chunk of the meat out. Take your two hands and you kind of roll it into a ball in between your hands. Now, it's hard to tell, but this is about the size of a golf ball. Now, do I want a golf ball size? Do I want smaller? Do I want larger? You make the decision. But it's important that you try to stay as uniform as possible per batch. Meaning that if you're going to cook these together, you don't want to have radically different sized meatballs. You want them all approximately the same size. It's not a science. You don't need to go and weigh them. But you want to have them approximately the same size and weight. Okay? So, we're going to do this for that whole batch there. All right, getting these nice golf ball sized meatballs. Okay, so just to show you, I got my meatballs all approximately same size. Got them into the size of about golf balls. Got them nice and rolled and ready to go. All right, this is where you get out your saucepan. Okay. Now, you can, what we're going to do is we're going to take this beautiful garlic and basil and olive oil, and we're going to put a bunch into the pan. We're also going to add a little bit more olive oil, okay? Because we're going to do some sweating. We really want to sweat the flavors out over here, okay? So as you can see, we are really putting in a good amount of oil. We want to coat the bottom of that pan. All right, we're going to get the heat to medium. Okay, let's get that nice and working to medium. All right. Now, while you're waiting for everything to get nice and hot here, you will start getting your cans of tomato sauce or diced tomatoes or whatever you have. You're going to start pulling that, opening them up and getting that ready to start using. Okay. All right. As you can hear, we got a little bit of a sizzle going on. That is the garlic and the basil starting to release their natural juices. And so there's a beautiful, beautiful smell happening right now. Okay, I'm just gonna spread that out. Spread the love, spread the love. All right. Gonna add in our onions, all of them. When you add onions to sweat, you want to add salt. Salt is going to allow the onions to release their juice. It's pulling that natural juice out of the onion. Okay, and that's really what we want to do. We want to pull the juice out of the onion. In that onion is some sugars. And what we're going to end up doing is caramelizing the onion a little bit. We're going to let it sweat and caramelize it just a little bit. Now, we're not doing this on high heat. We're doing this on medium heat. Okay? And to really get a good caramelized based onion here, you need to keep it medium low to medium. Okay? We want to get the juices from the onion to come out, and then we want it to slowly cook and let those sugars in the onion release and start to caramelize around the onion. Okay? That's what we want. We want a nice caramelized onion to start this base. Okay, I got the onions working. I'm going to be stirring them occasionally. Again, medium low to medium heat. Let them sweat. And you can start seeing that, you know, they're nice and coated in the oil and they're starting to release their juices there. It's good. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of oil in a frying pan. We're not frying here. We are just going to be browning, in this case, the meatballs. You're also, if you're doing this vegetarian style with the vegetarian meatballs, you're also going to do this. You're just going to do with the vegetarian meatballs, you're going to be doing it. And we'll show you how that looks. this point, between the meat and the vegetarian style, there's going to be no difference here. So if you just want to do vegetarian, you use the Beyond Meatballs. There's a bunch of options you have, but you still want to get a little browning of them. So you want to get that that pan nice and hot, and we're going to start browning that off. Alright, so I got my pan of oil nice and hot. I'm stirring around my onions, okay? And they're actually giving me, it's not hard, they're softer now. So they're more pliable. So they're really starting to sweat out there, okay? Now I got my pan heating up over here, okay? I'm gonna show you, these are the, nope, the oil's not hot yet. We need a little bit more. It didn't start sizzling, so we're gonna wait till the oil gets nice and hot. But once the oil is nice and hot, as soon as you place it in there, it's gonna start to sizzle. That's what we're looking for. Remember, you want to keep moving your onions. Okay, we're not looking to overcook them, but you know they are important here. If you look, they're starting to get nice and soft and pliable. Okay, they're putting out a lot of steam. It smells amazing. Yep, see, there we go. Nice sizzle. Okay? We're going to do a comparison one-on-one right now. So over here, you have the vegetarian meatball. Over here, we have the real meatball. They are slightly different sizes, but that is okay, as we're just browning them off at this point. They are still delicate, so you want to handle this very lightly. Okay, have what I call light fingers, not death grip here. Okay, we'll get a couple. Alright, we got a nice little thing going. I'm agitating the pan, getting them moving. The vegetarian ones don't want to move, so we'll help them along a little bit. So if you have people who are not meat eaters, vegan or vegetarian, you can still make spaghetti and meatballs. You can still make meatball subs. Okay, you know, the ingredients are going to be just slightly different, but you're still getting a great flavor. With today's products out there, it's mind-boggling how good these things are coming out. Okay, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a nice cooked outer exterior. We don't need to cook them all the way. We're not cooking them all the way. We're just trying to sear the exterior. Okay, because they're going to actually cook in the sauce. The vegan ones are really, they're moving quickly here, so we're going to get them pulled out. Again, I'm not trying to cook them fully here, I'm just trying to get them a little bit of sear. So the regular meatballs are taking a little longer, and that's okay. Okay, that is perfectly fine. Alright, we're just going to get them moving, getting them nice and sear. Again, remembering we have the onions, we got to keep that moving. The onions are now starting to really sweat out and starting to smell amazing here. Okay, we're gonna get all the meatballs done, and then by then we should be ready for step 2 on the sauce. All right, I got my onions nice and caramelized over here. I have finished my meatballs. I got the onions caramelized. I'm gonna lower the heat a little bit, okay? You can see, getting nice brown on there. We don't need to go any farther than that. We're ready to release the flavors there. So now you don't have to do this. I like to do this. I think it adds an extra little bit of flavor. This is where you add the sausage. Now, for my vegetarian and vegan friends, this right here is the Beyond sausage. You can use the vegan sausage if you want. If you don't want to use it, it doesn't hurt the sauce in any way. Okay, so I got the sausage, the onions sauteing in there. I'm gonna add a little bit more of the garlic, olive oil, and basil, and I'm gonna deglaze the pan with red wine. A note for my viewers here: red wine, any wine, okay? When you're cooking, do not use cooking wine. When you're cooking, use a wine that you would serve on the table. It's got to be good enough to drink. It doesn't have to be great. It's got to be good enough to drink. Okay? That is very important. Because if it's the flavor of bad wine is going to be in the sauce, and it's going to take the sauce a little bit off. If it's wine that you're willing to cook, that's the flavor that's going to be in the sauce of the wine that you're willing to drink. So you want to do that. Okay? So we got that simmering here. Okay? Now we're getting ready for the next step. I got a beautiful. We're gonna get the heat up to medium. Okay. We got the tomatoes. We got the sausage and the onions, the basil, the garlic, olive oil. Now we're gonna put in the tomato. Now, I don't like leaving a bottle like this. To me, there's still product in there. So, I'm going to take a little bit of my wine and pour it into the bottle. Get the cap. Mix it up. Okay? Is it perfect? No. But there's a whole lot less tomato product left in that jar. Now, if you have the San Marzano style tomatoes, this is going to be a little bit of mess here, okay? Because they're whole tomatoes. All right. So what we want to do is we're going to take out a tomato, put your hand on top over the pot, and you're going to squeeze it. Again, your hand is your best utensil when cooking in the kitchen. Okay, and you're going to take all your tomatoes in there, and you're going to just mash them up. It does make a little bit of a mess, not going to lie. And again, it feels weird in your hand, not going to lie. But it's tomato, guys. I mean, really, it's a tomato. You're squeezing a tomato. It's not a big deal. It feels weird, but just think, it's only a tomato. Okay? Make sure you got everything in there. And then you got a beautiful can of sauce. And pour that in there. Okay? And we're going to stir that all together. Now, if I had fresh oregano, I would put it in right now. My store was out, so I don't have fresh oregano. So I'm going to put right now dried oregano. I'm going to start with a tablespoon. And from there, I'll add it as the flavor is needed. Okay. Garlic, basil, olive oil, oregano. I put in a teaspoon of sugar. Okay. Now, tomato is a fantastic ingredient, but it takes away from the salt flavor. So when you put tomato, make sure you put in some salt. You don't want to overdo it. A good 2 pinches right now, and then you're going to taste it and make sure it's on point before you serve it. If it needs a little bit more salt, you'll add it. If it needs a little bit more oregano, you'll add it. If it needs more basil, you'll add it. You're going to make that determination. But we want it now to get a nice mix here, okay? So now we got the sauce all ready over here, all right? This is where you take your semi-cooked meatballs and you put them in. I told you we're going to cook them, completely cook them later. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to completely cook them in the sauce. Okay, so we want to just gently, because meatballs are delicate, we want to gently pull them in so that they're all covered. Okay? If you, I still have a little bit of sauce on the bottom of this jar. Let's get that in there. Let's not lose anything. There we go. I'm going to cover my pot. I'm going to lower it down to a little higher than low. So, medium low, I would go with. And then you're going to check it in about 15 minutes. Alright, I have this on low. If you can hear, we got a lot of, got a bubbling action, a little steam action, a little whistling going on. Take that off. We got a beautiful pot of sauce bubbling. And again, this is on low heat, okay? Because at this point, you don't want anything to burn. And we got to move everything nice and slowly. You might want to move it off the burner. Okay. Again, you want to be gentle, but you're going to start feeling some of the sauce and whatnot sticking to the bottom. You want to move it. You don't want it to stick there because it's going to burn. Okay. Now, again, for my vegan and vegetarian friends out there, all of this can be done with the meat substitutes. You can also make a sauce without any of these meat substitutes and just have pasta and marinara sauce. This is more pasta and meatball sauce, pasta and sausage and meatballs, or meatball sandwich. You know, you want to really get a good feel for this. So it's gonna need a little bit more time. We want it to cook a little bit more, but this is where you're gonna do your first taste test. Okay, because everything has already been cooked well and down. It is safe now to taste it. You're not gonna have any raw meat or anything like that. I'm getting hints on mine. It was a little too much red wine. I got that a very winey flavor. But still very yummy. I think what I'm going to do, add a little bit more basil and garlic. And then I'm going to add a little bit more tomato. Here's where you can use the tomato paste, or you can use another can of tomato sauce. I think I'm going to go with the diced tomatoes in a can, like I said, nice and easy peasy 1, 2, 3 type thing. I'm going to go with half the can, okay? I'll save that other half a can for something else if I don't use it for this. But in my next tasting, I might need to add a little bit more. So let's see where this brings the sauce to. Okay. Again, it's on low. We're going to cover it. Keep it on low. Another 10 minutes. Alright. We're back. Alright. As you can see, we got beautiful bubbling sauce. Again, this is on low heat. I mean, you really don't need a lot of heat. We want to be nice and gentle. Stir it around. Okay. kind of need 2 hands for this, so I got to put down the camera. All right. As before, this is going to come down to your personal flavor. What do you want? Okay, so I'm going to try that sauce again. Oh yeah, see, a little extra tomato absorbed all that wine. It's a nice balanced flavor. It's ready to go. I'm putting it on very, very low. I'm gonna just let it sit there. I'm gonna turn off the oven, the heat in approximately 2 or 3 minutes, and then this is where you get your pasta ready. And you can just scoop that sauce with the meatballs and the sausage right on top of that pasta. Or we're gonna make meatball subs, and I'm gonna show you those subs in the next part here. And again, vegan, vegetarian friends, this can all be done with the meat substitute, the Beyond Beef, the Impossible Meat, all of that. It comes out just as good, and you don't have to worry about, breaking that dietary rule for yourself. So again, this is all done either with real meat or the vegetarian meat, or no meat whatsoever. Then it's just not going to be meatball subs. It's just going to be pasta with marinara sauce. All right, so now on to the sub part. I put the oven on to 350 degrees. I got my fresh rolls sitting right there. I got my pan with my parchment paper. Don't need to have parchment paper. You don't even need to do this part. You want to throw it in a toaster, you're okay. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I like to. And since this is for me, this is what we're going to do. Take your roll, okay? You don't want to cut it all the way through. About 3/4. You're going to pull it open. Okay, we're going to do this before we toast it so that it doesn't break. Okay, now we're going to bring back our garlic, basil, and olive oil. Yeah, I told you, I use this for everything. Okay, we're just going to spread it on. Don't need a lot. Just adds a little bit of, again, all important flavor. Okay. Put it in the pan. We'll do it for all the rolls. And then we're going to throw it in the oven at 350 for approximately 5 minutes. We don't want it toasted. We want it bakey toasted. Not so dried out. So just a little bit of a toastiness so that there's a little bit of a crunch there when you bite into it. All right. These were in the oven at 350. You hear that? Nice crunch? Perfect. Exactly where I want it to be. Nice little crunch. Ready to go. Now, what you do, you get your sandwich bread, you open it up, you get a ladle. Okay? This is the important part. We're gonna do this together. Alright. We got our meatballs and sauce. We got a ladle. Okay. I also have my handy dandy. Alright, and we have a good bread cutting knife. Alright. So let's move things around here so you can see.
You said you wanted me to wipe half the table?
We're going to open the bread up. You want to get a little bit of the sauce over here and just drizzle it down the sides. Okay? Drizzle it down the sides. All right, now you want to grab the meatballs. Okay. Get a nice amount of meatballs in there with the sauce. Put some sauce on top. Now, a lot of you like cheese. This is where you would put it on the mozzarella cheese or provolone cheese, and you would throw it back in the oven. The oven is still hot. You're going to have moved the oven up to about 400 degrees. You're going to stick it in the oven for a minute, minute and a half. Just get the cheese soft. And then you pull it out. Boom. You're done. And this is where you say, bon appetit.